Jack. Hey, congratulations on your documentary Amongst the Trees.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
More of a congratulation. It was, what was it, just showcased at the Palm Springs International Film Festival most recently. I mean, how did that go? How did you feel about that?
Thank you. Yeah, we premiered this past Saturday, playing again tomorrow, which would be great. And yeah, it was really kind of this culmination of a dream come true to be able to premiere this in a place really close to where the documentary was filmed. Had an awesome crowd in there, and to not to no pun intended, we've been in the trees in it so long, it was hard to see the forest through it. So it was really nice to have a crowd of fresh eyes and feel the moments that we felt when they were happening. So it was really cool.
That sounds awesome. That is really awesome. So tell us, what sparked you to do this documentary in the first place?
Funny enough, like I'd just been sort of looking for projects, and been writing down a ton of ideas. And I'd been on a trip to the desert and just found that, we're in one of the biggest metropolitans on earth, and 2 hours away, it's like you're transported to the moon almost in Joshua Tree. And it's really stark, interesting landscape. It's unlike anything else. And just one late night, I realized like I'd never seen sports represented out there and kind of showcased amongst that contrast of that landscape. And we'd seen it in so other parts around the world. But from that, it just kind of led me down this journalism school kid zone of like, are anybody playing games out there? Then that led me to an article somebody had written about this school that started up. And then it just kind of snowballed organically, and I learned that they were renting enterprise vans to drive the team places. They didn't have jerseys. The coaches were the trainers. And then they went out and beat the number one, JUCO in the state that first year. I was like, this is incredible. But yeah, a culmination of just kind of myself being very ADD and online and in different wormholes, but to really wanting to pair visually initially that idea of the desert and then sport, how we've never seen it.
Well, first of all, it's funny is because I've only been out to 29 Palms once. I didn't even know Joshua Tree was even a town out there. I mean, just like your documentary indicated, I mean, it took a while to even for me to figure out what is a
Yeah.
Joshua Tree. Tell us about this community because it's a part of your documentary how you want to basically portray a community that coalesces around a sports team like this.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, what it felt was like everyone felt one very grateful that they had a team to support something else to come around the town, and become a community just to support this thing together. And two, that the town really had a very real part in helping build this team. The facility out there is incredible. It was built in large part from the donations from around the town. They didn't even, when they built it, they didn't even have plans of how to necessarily use it. So when the team got started, I think there was just a lot of energy built up, and it was really, it was just such a unique thing for, Los Angeles has however many sports teams and college teams, and they didn't have their thing. And so you could just feel that pride that they had helped build it. And then, the town itself it was so interesting because it's a slower town, a little older, and then you bring all these kids from all over the country that had never been to the desert, and they're blasting music and having fun, and the town embraced it and loved it. And so when we were at those games, everyone was so excited to be able to show the world what they had built from the mascot themselves. I think we had heard a bunch of those people talk about how exciting the mascot journey was to even building it, and like them getting basketballs and refs. And I don't know, it just felt like it was really cool to be surrounded by people who are genuinely excited about building something new.
So, who did you approach first to convince them to partake in this documentary, and how did you convince everyone else to be part of this?
When the program started the first year, there was a different coach, actually, who had the two, BK and Walt, had they were assistant coaches who took over in year two. And I had just kind of, so I went to journalism school at the University of Oregon. I am always kind of just like searching for stories. So I found his email, hit him up. Hey, I have this creative and production company. We work a lot in sports. I thought it could be cool to do some with you guys. And honestly, I think was really interesting from their perspective. I don't know if they saw it from just an opportunity to help recruiting or anything, but they were all in from the first email. And so it actually became really easy. And we work with a lot of professional athletes that were always kind of towing the line on how much access we get, how much time we get. And when we got there, they were like, "Would you like to set up on the court? How would you like to get right into the huddle?" Like it was all access from the beginning. And so um, it was really cool. Like it was very easy, honestly, to for them to get excited by it. And then they liked our vision that this was, it's interesting. Like I feel like a lot of sports docs dwell on these kind of like heartbreaking, sad stories as being the reason why these characters are worth our time. And we told them, hey, this is positive. Like these kids, everything we've watched is awesome. You building this thing is awesome, and they all have their stories, where they come from, things that have happened. It doesn't need to define them like that. We wanted to tell a positive story, and I think they were just really open to that.
So initially, the storytelling that you wanted to approach for this documentary was to go into their backgrounds, their deep stories on why they came out to the middle of a desert, middle of nowhere, to play basketball.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't know where that would go. Obviously, like that is, you can't write those characters. And so as we kind of like learned everyone's story, okay, this is interesting how you ended up here. I think that was the original hope, was like, how did you from Mississippi get to this, little 94 by 50 piece of maple in the middle of a giant sandbox? Like, how did you get here from Roanoke? How did you get here from Chicago? And so like that to us was just interesting because I'm not from Southern California originally. To me, Southern California is palm trees and the beach and this. And for them to think, California can be such a starkly different place, I thought was really interesting. So yeah, that was the original hope, was to go into their stories. The original hope was actually just to focus on the kids, because we felt like a lot of other college docu stuff had always focused on the coach. And then when we got there, we realized the coaches were nearly the same age as the kids. And it created this interesting dichotomy that we hadn't seen on film. So yeah, very unfolded. We just kind of let it unfold when we were there.
I'm curious for you, Jack. I'm assuming you don't live in Joshua Tree or 29 Palms. Tell us the scheduling and commute to make a film something like this.
So we self-funded, did so shoestring is putting it politely, in terms of like how we did this. I'm in Los Angeles, so not too far away. But we got the bulk of this done in real time in that last week of their season. Did a bunch of pickup shots, went back with them. Obviously, went back with them 2 years prior, but really we kind of went to embed initially. Initially, we went thinking we were going to get 10 minutes of footage, and maybe we could build a show, maybe we could build something else. We ended up staying a couple more days longer, and just felt like, wow, there's actually a really rich story in this moment, instead of just really having to extend the history of it. So not too bad. It's an easy commute out there, but what was nice was we actually, because we weren't embedded for a whole year, it actually just logistically helped us a ton. And then obviously like self-financing it, there are realities to it. But yeah, felt like we got a lot in a little.
So that very last game, was that purposeful, or was that just a pure sheer luck that you got your production there?
We knew both. We knew that that game was coming. We knew that that game was important. When they lost the first one, they're supposed to win that first one. It really heightened the energy for it. And so, okay, this is the last game, because we knew it was senior day. We wanted to center things around like the end as it's coming together. But honestly, I think just as a sports fan, the best things in sports like are unscripted, and that like happened as it did. Like the comeback, the fact that everyone felt like their futures were riding on it in that moment, and in that moment, it's hard to not feel that way. So definitely luck, but I think persistence and luck are, the more persistent you are, the more chances that luck you get. We were out there, got lucky on the game, and just happened to all kind of collide at the same time.
So you automatically switch into sort of like a sports filming mode. I mean, it almost looked like you were filming a real basketball game, like for a sporting network there.
Yeah, kind of crazy too. I mean, the whole thing, like, I think if we had known what it would become, we would have had 5 cameras out there. And so that was the most difficult part, was making sure we were capturing the bench, Tawny as it's going, the kids, everything that's happening. But I think one decision we very consciously made was that we are not going to be able to get every angle of everything. So as long as we have our kind of local TV angle to anchor us in, let's like search where the drama is going. But yeah, it became kind of this involved thing as we kind of came back and went into the footage. But I think a little bit of luck certainly on like the doc side to snag some of those moments.
And what do you love about this type of storytelling on the side of sports?
I love being able to shine a spotlight on people working their ass off and doing things for others and being happy for others people's success without the guarantee that anyone's watching. And what we found out there was a family of supporters and kids who cared about each other, and they were doing great work. And just because you hadn't heard of them or seen them didn't mean that it didn't matter. And I feel like there's something very universal in that ability to grind, not knowing where you're going to do it, but wanting to kind of change your future, take it in your hands. And I think sports are an incredible vehicle for that. I grew up in Ohio and Denver at a time where not really high recruiting in sports. So I think there's Trent, co-director, grew up in Kansas, same thing. So I think we internalized that idea of like, hey, I'm trying this. Like, is anybody watching? So that was an original kind of motivator for us. But ultimately, I think there's a universality in this idea that people are doing great work for each other, and no matter if they're Duke or Copper Mountain College, like that deserves our shine and our eyeballs.
Sounds great. Well, one last question for you, Jack. As audiences, just checked it out at Amongst the Trees at the Palm Springs Film Festival, and down the road, more than likely, more audiences will have a chance to check it out, whether it's a film festival or elsewhere. What is the one most important take you hope they walk away with after viewing your film?
Really good question. Honestly, I think there's a line that Darius says that sticks with me all the time. It's my favorite line in the film, and he said, "Nothing been easy, but I'm happy." And this is a guy who is 29 who had a lot of recruiting happen to him, and then it fell through. He started working at a Walgreens, and he found this opportunity at 29, started a real GoFundMe in order to go across the country for his dream to play at a junior college in the middle of nowhere. And he finds the positiveness in it and the work that he put in. And so that idea, I think if you walk away with anything life's not easy, but it can still be pretty awesome. Nothing been easy, but I'm happy. To me, that's like the line of the film. And also I just think like the motivation that those coaches and Tawny and the love that they give those kids. Yeah, it just feels good to like have fun in sports and to watch some people doing some great work and not have anything on the contrary be sinister or anything behind it. Like there's sometimes just a great story with great people is enough.
You said it best, and you've done great work yourself, telling their stories onto film. So, Jack, thank you very much for carrying this conversation about Amongst the Trees. Congratulations once again, and hopefully we get to do this again down the road.
Thank you so much for the time. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
thank you. Bye now.